Before we get started, I want to quickly thank our sponsor, Butter Be Kind. Skincare has always been more than just a product I put on my face. It's a decision, a ritual, and most of all, an act of self-care. People say we are what we eat. I say we are what we use. After more than 2 decades of experimenting with skincare, I've learned that it's rare to find a natural brand founded by a chemist. That's what makes Butter Be Kind special. Dedicated to soothing sensitive skin, they create gentle, effective formulas that care for you and your family. Check the description of this episode to get 15% off your next purchase on the Butter Be Kind website. Start enjoying your self-care with kindness in a bottle. I think a lot of people don't know this about me is that I grew up as a very anxious child. I was always looking out for something wrong that's about to happen. But because I learned ballet from the age of 4 all the way till 14, I learned how to kind of mask my anxiety with composure and grace. But when I was about maybe 14, 15, I started to get really annoyed with people who are so happy all the time. It made me kind of sound a little bit like depressing, but I don't know why. I just kind of feel like, why is she so happy all the time? It's kind of annoying. Like, I don't understand. And it wasn't until, 7 years ago when I started to really embark on the self-discovery process that I heard this phrase, happiness is a discipline and it's a choice. And I started to understand what that means and understand what positivity means. Now, a couple years ago, I had this chance to meet this wonderful girl. Her name's Teja, and she's a founder of a beautiful skincare brand, Butter Be Kind. And she has such a beautiful energy around her that you feel really good after you speak to her. And I just got really curious about why and how she become this positive person. And it's so contagious. And I was able to have a few more conversations with her about her childhood and her philosophy in life. And today we're going to talk to Teja about this philosophy in life and how this affects her on the personal level and how this affects her business. I'm so excited that you get to join us. So let's jump in. Welcome to the Soft Power Project, a podcast that journals the story of women as they navigate their own transformations. I'm Sherry, a certified coach and your host. In my mid-30s, I made the bold decision to reinvent my life. Now in my 40s, I'm sharing that journey along with the stories of women who inspire me. Like you, we're embracing growth to become our highest selves. Let's celebrate the power of self-exploration, one story at a time. Hello everyone, welcome back to Soft Power Project. And today I'm so excited to welcome Teja to this interview. Thank you, Teja.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Teja is someone that I have to say she's like the epitome of sunshine, positivity, and just authenticity, all these amazing synonyms of positivity. And every time I talk to you, I'd always get some energy. And yeah, I just hope that our audience can also feel that from this interview. And I'm sure they will.
Thank you for your kind words. And yes, I really hope that we inspire as many people and listeners as possible.
Yeah, so for the intention of this podcast, as you know, I really wanted to celebrate amazing women, and especially the journey. And it's not so much about the outcome, because I think a lot of times social media, people talk about like how they go from nothing to build this empire. And we internalize that to, oh, they have one next success. And we often forget the journey itself. So I really wanted to hone in on the journey because I know you're an amazing entrepreneur and your brand, Butter Be Kind, it's just such a beautiful brand and it's doing really well. And I just wanted to kind of talk about the journey from where you get started and the kind of the journey itself to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, I agree so much with what you just said. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people that we follow are so far ahead that it's hard for us to kind of relate to
Mm-hmm.
where we are. And you wonder, how do I get there where they are? That was the case for me as well. I'm actually a chemist and a biotechnologist. That's what I studied. That's what I thought I will be for the rest of my life. I worked as a scientist for part of my professional career. And then I was actually always formulating skincare as a freelancer while studying and working my other jobs. What got me into skincare is actually my own problem. I suffered from sensitive skin and dermatitis and an allergy altogether. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
fun mixture that I had as a little girl, basically. I remember going with my parents from pharmacy to pharmacy, trying to find a solution, something that would help me on the long term because I was covered in rash. My arms, my legs were covered in rash. So I remember growing up feeling, of course, very insecure because everyone kept on asking me, what is on your hands? What is on your
Mm-hmm.
legs? And you know how kids are, we're curious, but then sometimes it can be very poking constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to study, I come from a very small country in Europe and I studied in Vienna, Austria afterwards. And when I went to study, I remember my first analytical chemistry lab. We were doing all those crazy experiments, and I thought if I can do this, I can
Mm-hmm.
probably make a cream that would help me feel better. And my goal was never to, I mean, yes, ultimately I wanted the rash to go away, but my first goal was just to feel better in my skin. I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
feel some kind of relief. I wanted the itchiness to stop. That was the goal. And I mean, I realized that creating skincare is one of the most fun things that I've ever done before. So I just kept on formulating different products, like I said, as a freelancer. And then eventually I started Butter Be Kind because I see how much I and we as Butter Be Kind with the products, how much we can contribute to help people feel better, just like I
Right.
help myself.
And I think what you mentioned that I think a lot of people don't think about just how issues on your skin could really affect your confidence and your comfort level in yourself. I suffered from acne, so not so much an allergy, but acne for a very long time. And all the way till I was like college or even, like from all the way from high school to college, it was so severe that I feel so insecure. And I was like, I was never gonna have a boyfriend. No one's ever gonna like me. I'm so ugly. And all of that. Like at the
Mm,
time it's like, I just want to be pretty. And then you got family members that kind of look at you, just be like, why do you have so much acne? Why do you have this thing on your face? And let me try to help you. So I probably get pushed on so many different products, like 50 different products, just so that they can help me to cure my acne. But honestly, it wasn't really helping me. It was actually kind of causing more insecurity of like in my skin. So I completely understand what you're saying. And I think it's really amazing. It's that you're not actually defeated by the issues that you're having, but you wanted to find a solution. And I'm
yeah.
just wondering, how did you get that mindset? Because that's not a very common mindset for a lot of people.
So I think I get this from my grandpa, and this might sound super cliche, but he was always, growing up, he used to live at the seaside. So I
Mhm.
usually spent my whole summer with him at the seaside. He was very curious about life and things, and he was like researching different religions
Mm,
and different aspects of, life in general. You could call it spirituality. He never called it that way. He just called
mhm,
it life. So, and growing up with him, I learned so much about a lot of things. I think subconsciously he kind of imprinted little seeds,
mm,
and he was always, every time we were doing something, he always found a solution for everything. So
mm,
that really inspired me because it opened a completely new perspective to me as a child. I always had so many different ideas. I was like 4 years old, and I made a sketch. It was a bad sketch, but still, I made a sketch of my dream house and how I'll have different rooms. And like my
mm,
imagination was so vivid growing up. And with him, I really felt like anything is possible. And
mm,
every time he had a challenge, he was like, no, we're going to figure this out. We're going to find a solution. And then, when you grow up, you kind of forget all that. And you're like, oh
mm,
my God, this is so complicated. I have so many problems. How am I going to solve this? But
mhm,
then I'm so grateful because in the last, let's say, 4 years, I started reconnecting even
mm,
more strongly with this
mhm,
aspects that he imprinted in my subconscious. But I think thanks to him, this is the
mm,
mindset that I kind of like inherited. And
mhm,
also my parents, we're a very normal family. I don't come from a rich family. My mom was spent her life being a teacher, and she's a mathematician, by the way.
mm,
So yeah. And with her, it was very similar. My parents were always like, I mean, I'm not saying they always found a solution for the problem, because with my grandpa, I feel like he always found a solution. My
mm,
parents just like they really believed in me, and I think that helped me
mm,
a lot even when I didn't believe in myself. They were like,
mm,
"No, you're going to figure it out." So,
mm,
yeah, I think I had a very good basis from this part of the family.
mm. And that's amazing because you started practicing manifestation before you even know the term. It's
Yeah.
basically, it's like in your heart. You just do that. You built a dream board, right? People keep saying like, "Oh, you cut out magazine, you put it on your wall." You already did that when you were 4 years old. And I just really wanted to know because you mentioned that when you grow up, you forgot about it. You know, life gets complicated, we get more in our head, trying to think of solutions and not trying to feel it. But then you said for the past 4 years, you kind of reconnect that part of you. Do you remember what was kind of the turning point, or how did you get reconnected to that part of you?
Yeah, I think I'll never forget this point. Working in pharmaceutical industry as a scientist was a great experience. From the scientific perspective, it was something I always kind of dreamt of experiencing. But working a corporate job basically, sucks you into the system. I'm sorry
Mm-hmm.
to use these words,
Mm-hmm.
but it just brings you into I felt so disconnected from the essence of myself, from life in general. I really went from being someone who's so curious for life and can't wait to experience things, to someone who was just waiting for Friday, 5 p.m., and waiting for the
Mm-hmm.
weekend to come back to kind of like a neutral zero line, I call it. Not even the green part of the, let's say, feeling good. No,
Mm-hmm.
it was like neutral, and then you go and bank down, and then Friday you were recharging again to get back to zero. So I remember one day I had a beautiful apartment in Vienna. Like, if you looked at my life from the
Mm-hmm.
outside, that's the craziest part, actually. When you looked at my life from the outside, it seemed so perfect. I had a great job. I had a great monthly paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I had a partner. I had a great apartment in Vienna, which is a beautiful city. But I felt so empty. I felt like I
Mm.
lost my sense for life, the spark that you see now, probably in my eyes, it was gone. And I was looking in the mirror, I was like, who are you? I couldn't even recognize myself. And that was a point where I realized that I need to do something. And yeah, like I said, growing up, spending time with my grandpa, I felt connected with all these aspects. And then I went to study. I I mean my grandpa also passed away. But yeah, it was that point where I realized I need to do something. And I just started, okay, first I started reading a lot of books,
Mm.
which inspired me. I wouldn't say that, maybe for some people books they actually help them change their life around, which is great. Congrats. It
Mhm.
didn't do the magic for me, but the books definitely got me inspired in terms of, okay, I need to get a mentor, I need to get a coach, I need to get someone who's going to help me get back to, I mean, not back, but forward to
Mhm.
the new version of Teja, to the version of Teja who I want to be, who I want to become, and what I want to reflect into this world as well. Yeah,
Mm.
that was the point. And that was, whew, oh no, actually, it was more than 4 years ago. That point where that I was talking about, it was towards the end of 2019,
Mhm.
and then 2020 was when I also found my mentors and I started really intensively working on myself. So yeah, 4 years ago, things started turning
Mm.
around a lot.
Mm. Now, was it kind of a smooth process of turning that around, or has it ever been any moment where you kind of get toggled between the two side of you?
Yeah, constantly. I mean, at the beginning, I feel like I remember when I started working with my mentors, I had so much, and I was so inspired and so motivated to just get
Mm.
out of the place where I was at, because it was not a nice place to be. I mean, I don't even think it was great to be around me. I mean, I was still, I still tried, I was still kind, I was still friendly, but I didn't have the life that
Mm.
I feel inside now. So I was just so eager to get out of that space that
Mhm.
I didn't think it was hard. But then during the way, especially when I started building Butter Be Kind, it got tough. And so
Mhm.
many different patterns and paradigms came out that I was like, wait, where is this coming from?
Mhm.
And those points were definitely hard and still are. I still get faced with my subconscious patterns daily.
Mhm.
Some of them surprise me a little bit more, some of them a little bit less. But yeah, it's definitely not an easy process. But I feel like if you have if you have the support, and especially if you have the decision to really go through that,
Mhm.
then you just go through it.
Right. I love when you say that. And today I happened to listen to a coach on a YouTube channel, and she was talking about this like mental diet. And she mentioned that sometimes, often negative thoughts will come up. So instead of suppressing it, you kind of look at it as an observer. So to be curious about it. And I really like that because you're not trying to villainize your own thoughts, because a lot of times you kind of you become a little bit down on yourself and hard on yourself. So I don't really know. How do you usually face that when there's like a negative thoughts come up or your old pattern come up? How do you navigate through that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's a very thin line between suppressing something that's coming up for
Mm.
you
Mm-hmm.
and actually letting it go.
Mm.
When something comes up, I'm going to take it on an example because I think
Mm.
it's going to be easier to understand. But let's say, okay, we have an amazing opportunity with a business
Mm.
and we're in discussions for some big deal, and I have a lot of doubt come up, or like
Mm.
insecurity, or am I really good enough
Mm.
to actually sign this contract? Because come on, I'm just a girl from a small town, literally. Um, when this comes up, I think the one most important thing that I will never forget that my mentors taught me, you are not your thoughts.
Mm.
And just to bring the moment you get this negative message into your mind, just for me to bring this awareness that this is not who I am.
Mm.
This is not even who I want to be. Sometimes I even ask myself, okay, is this something that I'm trying to bring into my life?
Mm.
If the answer is no, then I'm like, okay, so this is not a thought that I want to entertain.
Mm.
And then I go from there. But the first point, and I think that's the trickiest because we have so many thoughts during the day. I think the trickiest part is to actually catch the thought and be like, oh, what are you doing here? Yeah. You mean you can have fun doing it. Sometimes it's not that fun, but let's see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm practicing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And so just to give a little context for the listener, I mean, Taya is okay, from the outside. So like often, Nick and I would talk about it or Carolyn and I would talk about it. We would just be like, oh my God, like she's a one-woman show. And she left home and she established this brand and she got all these amazing opportunity pretty much on her own. And that's to me, and then when we're talking about numbers, I won't be, I won't get to that the specific here. But when we talk about numbers and what you're able to achieve, it's extraordinary and actually really comparable to like a real size company in the market. So the things that you had to deal with on a daily basis, I cannot even imagine what those decisions would be. And they're very difficult decisions, I assumed. Do you mind give us some examples of some sort of tough decision? I mean, you don't have to get to the detail, but just like tough decisions that you had to really decide recently and kind of walk us through your mind going from maybe a little bit of doubt, or was it an easy decision, or kind of your process of that?
Yeah. One tough decision that I made was probably around 6 months ago when we started getting this amazing opportunities in the US. And I got the opportunity to be here, to actually live here, to go into amazing collaborations that you know a little bit more about. And tough decision in this case was that in business, I didn't know before going into business, I had no idea this works like that. But I had the choice between a steady growth that we were having, meaning the company was doing good, we had some profit, no one was complaining, we achieved a lot in the past 2 years. But then we had the opportunity to take on some really, really big clients and grow faster. But the second, I mean, it seems like, well, obvious choice, right? Of course, we want to grow faster. Of course, we want to help more people. But the other side leads to I'm far away from family, but I've been far away from them for a long time, so that's not the biggest problem. But for me, business wise, is a big challenge to know that okay, we need to take on these clients and there's no room to mess it up. There's no room to just like miss the deadline or not have enough liquidity to follow through. So yeah, that was, I think, the big decision. It was actually a good decision, but still, that is something. It's such a big expansion for the business as well as for me personally. That yeah, I had a lot of doubts going into insecurities. Okay, is this the good? Is this the right move? But I just have like my purpose and my why and why I'm doing Butter Be Kind the way I'm doing it is just so strong that I didn't really care about those negative beliefs and the chatter that was going on in the background. And also That's something I've had since I was very young. Even when I was 17 and I was deciding to go study abroad or not, my the only question I asked myself was, will I regret not doing this?
Mm.
And then my family, they didn't believe that I will actually pack my bags and go. And I did. My mom was like, "So you're actually going?" Like, "Yeah, mom, I got accepted. I'm going. I'm driving there now." So, yeah, that's one question that's I love it because it's so good,
Mm.
and we're so often we're overthinking.
I love that. So what you're saying is that sometimes you can ask yourself, would you regret it if you don't do it? That's ultimately kind of give you a really good sense of,
Yeah.
is it a yes or no? Is there any other questions that you can ask yourself and kind of get you to that really grounded level of mentality or kind of emotion level?
Yeah, maybe just a side note to the
Mm.
will I regret it if I do, if
Mm.
I don't do it? Maybe it doesn't apply to all things.
Mm-hmm.
Just like take it with caution. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm like maybe there's some examples where like no, I don't think.
Mm.
Yeah, but in these
Mm.
cases. Other questions that keep me grounded is one that I already mentioned, I think, is let's say I have thoughts coming up and it's so annoying, because it sucks you in and you're looking at the thoughts. One question that I try to, as fast as I remember, I ask myself, is this bringing me towards my goal? Is this
Mm.
bringing me towards what I'm trying to manifest into my life? And it, this one is so powerful because it immediately you have the answer. You know exactly if that is the truth or not. And then the third one, if it's regarding certain situation or something that's happening in my life, I ask myself, what can I do to make this better?
Mm-hmm.
Do I actually have an influence on making this
Mm.
better? Let's say, okay, yeah, I got it. Sorry, I'm like,
No
my
worries.
mom, she had an accident last year while skiing,
Mm.
and she broke her shoulder. She's not that young, so of course, I got worried. I have no idea. I was not home. I was not even close to her.
Mhm.
And immediately you start worrying, you start doubting, you start panicking. And I was like, okay, does this help her?
Mhm.
No. Does this help me? No. Can I go there and fix her shoulder?
Mhm.
No. So I'm not trying to say that I didn't worry, that I didn't call her, text her,
Yeah. Mhm.
but it was from a different perspective. I knew that in that moment I cannot do
Yeah.
anything. I just needed to have faith that she's in good hands, she's
Mhm.
gonna be taken care of, and all I could and should be doing, I think everyone should be doing that, is sending not worrying messages or like
Mhm.
doubt and fear,
Mhm.
but think good thoughts. I know this sounds so cliche, but like, why wouldn't you send them love and
Mhm.
I don't know, just like, oh, I hope she heals fast. Something
Mhm.
like that, something positive. It makes a big difference. By the way,
Mhm.
she's great now. She's been skiing for the past week, so yeah,
Oh.
she's crazy.
Yeah, I love that because I think as adults, and people leave homes, and adults sometimes, they get to have their own family. It's it's not like, yeah, when something happened to our parents, we often can't just like be there instantaneously, right? We do have to make a decision. Okay, what do we do now? There are other things I need to take care of right away. Or is it something that I can control? I have any control over? Can I do that now? Can I take care of them being far away just by worrying? And I do that a lot. I worried a lot. And unlike your experience in your family, I have to say, I don't know if it's cultural, but maybe it's not, just my family. My parents are they're more anxiety driven people. And I think it's specifically for my dad. And he had been through war. So maybe, I don't know if that causes that, but a lot of times he tend to worry first. And even if something hasn't happened, he would worry first. And growing up, I was like, I thought, well, that's just my dad. But eventually I grew up and I realized that, oh, no, actually, I adopted that pattern in me. And I had no idea until, you get to do the grown up things and you started to feel like, oh man, this pattern actually is harming me more than anything. And I just have one question as well, that you talk about how you often wanted to bring it back to that groundedness, that positivity. What is your North Star in life and or building your business?
I think it's very similar, both in life and in business.
Mm.
It's probably because there's so much of me in the business, but that's just who I am. I wouldn't be able to just build a business with something that I don't fill with all my heart.
Mm.
So, when you see people drop shipping stuff, I don't think I would be able to do that. Like, if
Mm.
I'm not in it with my heart, there's no way it's gonna succeed. But yeah, one thing I this is gonna sound like, when there's the competition for the Miss Universe or Miss of the World, and then they say we wish for world peace. No, I don't wish for I mean, I wish for that as well. But I truly wish that people were kinder to
Mm.
each other, to themselves, to the planet. And
Mm.
that's also why Butter Be Kind. And that's
Yeah.
something again, comes from my childhood because I wish
Mm.
that people were kinder to me and they wouldn't be
Mm.
so involved into my rash. Just leave me alone. Like, I really do believe that kindness can solve a lot of problems. This sounds so silly, but with kindness, I mean acceptance also. Like, the way
Mm.
you are, the way I am. I think with kindness, there's always question that comes together is how can I make this person feel more accepted, more seen, feel
Mhm.
better?
Mhm.
Yeah, this
Mm.
is this is my North Star. Just to
Mm.
spread that, to spread the everything that we're not thought about
Mhm.
and that it's so unnatural in this world.
Mm.
Like there's people that complain we're too positive. Why is there so much kindness? you know, like haters gonna hate.
Yeah, haters gonna
But
hate. Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is, I know some people will be bothered by this positivity. I know there's a
Mm.
lot of fake positivity as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, but I really do believe that people that know me
Mm.
and that meet me, that have talked to me
Mm.
a little bit more, they know that this is just the way I choose to be living.
Mm.
That's
I
my
love
North
that.
Star.
You mentioned fake positivity, and I hear a lot of, I mean, I've been kind of observing a lot of people would practice maybe not fake positivity, but more like a performative positivity. But it's fake in a way. It's inauthentic to themselves. But are you able to tell kind of the difference from the fake positivity to the real positivity in yourself or maybe from others?
I, huh, in others, definitely.
Mm.
In myself, I that's a tricky question. Oh my gosh, Sherry.
Maybe
So
you don't have it. You just
I
genuine
do. I
positivity.
mean, so there was a period in between. I don't remember when exactly it was. I think it
Mm.
was shortly before starting Butter Be Kind,
Mm.
where I was suppressing certain things. And
Mm.
then you're just trying to act happy and we're fine and everything is great. And, like we don't have any problems, we don't have any situations. I feel like this is the fake positivity where you're just like suppressing everything else,
Mm.
all the anger, you're not actually releasing.
Mhm.
So I can definitely notice that in others
Mm.
because it comes with with a big mask. I don't even know how to
Mm-mm.
explain it. I feel like the true positivity is something that radiates. You
Mm.
know, when you walk into a room,
Mm.
you feel that. I mean, I hope so.
Yeah. Um,
Or when you talk to a person that is actually positive, you feel better afterwards. You
mhm,
feel inspired. You feel like, oh, maybe
mhm,
life isn't that bad, you know?
mhm, mhm,
And if it's fake positivity, I also think it doesn't last. It's always glimpses of
mm.
happiness.
I love that. Um, and I think when you meet someone who's authentically happy and positive, you can just feel that vibe. And I definitely feel it from you every single time. Even when you're talking about something maybe a little inconvenient or maybe something that's, a tough decision, I can still feel it. And I think that's the difference. You don't always have to say life is great. It's beautiful or I have great life. You don't always have to say those things to be authentically positive.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Sherry.
So what's next for you for Butter Be Kind?
Whew. We have big plans.
Mm,
This year we're mostly focusing on expanding on the US market. That's something that started developing for us towards the end of last year, actually middle to second half of last year. That's the
mhm,
best way to put it. And we're just continuing this because I don't even know where to begin. I'm really grateful for what's happening. We have some great opportunities on the way. In
mhm.
the making, I have amazing people around me. So yeah, the plan is just to keep the momentum and
Mm,
keep on pushing it
yeah. And I
and
think
keep on spreading kindness.
absolutely. And I think you're someone that always surround yourself with people you like and people you love, even in
I
business, right?
Yeah, more and more. To be honest, at the beginning, I was very naive,
Mm.
especially my, let's say, first half of the year in business. I just thought that everyone is sincere and honest and trustworthy and kind. But then I learned that this is not the case.
Mm,
So one experience that I have had was actually really bad. But anyway, no bad feelings about it. Just a lesson for me. And after that, I started to be more cautious on
mm,
who are the people around me, who are the
mm,
people in my team. Also in my team, we're still a very small team, but the people changed a lot at the beginning.
mm.
Even after, with some people, we could see even after a month, it was like, oh no, this is not it.
Mhm.
And some of them stay. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it because you talk about being more cautious. But what I'm hearing is actually you learn how to set boundaries for yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm. And setting boundaries, I think, is one of the toughest thing that people had to learn,
Oh,
especially for me. I mean, I was a people pleaser. So it was like a life lesson. I'm still learning.
same.
How's your journey to that?
I it's the same. To be honest, my mom is a person that I always say she's the kindest person I know. She would give everything to everyone. If she can help in any other way, she would just go there and cook for you every single day, all the day.
Mm,
And I got that from her. She's also very, very kind. Like I don't know, she's amazing. So for me, setting boundaries, especially to people that I love and care about, was very hard.
mm,
Still is. It's a work in progress. Yeah, I feel like growing up, I always had the feeling that if I set a boundary, it
Mm-hmm.
means that I close the door.
Mm.
I don't
Mm.
know how else to explain it,
Mm-hmm.
but this is how it felt for me. Like, okay, so either I'm completely open or
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. And now growing up and building a business, I'm learning that it's not black and white like that. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Mm.
But you need to, I mean, I realize that I need to start learning how to do that, because otherwise, in my case, people just get involved into things that don't even, like, that are not even their business.
Yeah. And it's about kind of preserving your own energy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I like it. So since the podcast name is Soft Power Project, the reason why I named it a project is because just like you said, it's a work in progress. It's not a, one and done kind of thing going through life. Do you consider yourself soft or powerful or a little bit of both?
I, a little bit of both,
Mm-hmm.
more and more.
Mm.
I I think I used to be very soft, and I always thought that those two are. I love the name, by the way,
Oh, thank you.
um, because I think we grew up. I mean, growing up, soft and powerful
Mm-hmm.
were two terms that don't go together.
Mm.
You're either soft or you're powerful, and I think that's also what we are taught in the society. And I don't know. In the past few years, especially since building Butter Be Kind, I'm learning that those two are actually meant to be together, especially if you're a woman. I mean, we as women,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when we learn to embrace this softness that we have, I think
Mm-hmm.
naturally present in us, there's so much power in it. Yeah, I don't know. It's work in progress, but I think I'm a little bit of both.
I love that. I think so too. And the last thing I really wanted to ask is that this whole concept of manifestation, and obviously you started that not even knowing that it's a thing. And last time when I was in New York, we chat about the walk, kind of the affirmation that you would do. Is there any kind of suggestions for people to want to start practicing manifestation? Because I think there's so much information out there from like manifestation coaches, but I really wanted to ask the advice from someone who's been practicing for such a long time.
Yeah, I think you're so right. There's so much information and it's overwhelming. And who should you trust? It's a lot.
Yeah.
So my first advice is get to know yourself.
Mm.
I I really feel like that we don't even know who we are. We don't know what patterns we have. We don't know what potential we actually have.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, on that turning point that we were talking about, I one of the first things I did, I got to know myself better. You have so many techniques how you can do that, but
Mm-hmm.
just get to know a little bit about your, I don't know how to call it, maybe inner blueprint
Mm.
that you carry, and something that we inherit, also what we touched upon
Yes.
from generations. Once I read that we inherit for 7 generations of patterns.
No
So
way.
yeah. So I
Damn.
think we got some stuff to do. But so yeah, I mean, I know if I look in myself, one of my main blockages, if you want to call it that way, is definitely relationships, like a partnership. And I know I struggled with that a lot in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back at the generations, I know that all of them struggled in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, so get to know yourself, get to know what are the three main things that are holding you back, and what are the three
Mm-hmm.
main things you want to improve in yourself. I think just having this guideline on, okay, this is what I don't want and this is what I want, even that gives you a little bit more direction. And then when it comes to manifestation, there's so much information. There's so many people, so
Yes.
many coaches. I always say, look who you're learning from. Don't, someone has a very shiny Instagram profile and they have followers and they have, I don't know, like fun reels. But okay, I'm going to give an example. I don't want to be very theoretical, but let's say in the past, I think it was 6 years ago or 7, I started therapy with she was a spiritual slash very normal, typical therapist. And I started that because of my relationship. I wanted to improve the relationship with my partner. And I found her online. She sounded like a nice person. She had all the education, the PhD, and this and that. I was like, whoa, this is my girl. Let's go. So I went there. We had a few sessions. Okay. I wouldn't say it didn't bring me anything. But then on the third session, in between the session, we were in person. She got a call and she picked it up. She was pissed off on the call in front of me, a client. And then she put the phone down and she said, "Oh my God, this asshole." And I was like, wait, what?
Whoa.
And it was her husband. and I was learning from her about relationships.
Oh,
And that was
that's
the moment.
gold.
I mean, now I'm laughing about it. Back then, and you can probably imagine my face. I was like, what the actual
Yeah.
am I doing here? So, what I'm trying to say is if you want to improve your relationship, look at what the other person has. You're not going to go, no offense to anyone, but you're not going to go learn from a relationship from a priest. You're not going to go learn about a relationship from someone who's not doing it yet in their life.
Yeah.
I won't go learn about business from someone who hasn't ever run a business. So I think this is very important. And also, if you have a chance to connect with people they do work with, that have worked with them for a longer period, that's also something we do with my mentors. Sometimes people reach out to me that want to work with them and ask me, how's my experience? I'm super happy to share. But what I'm trying to say is, on the internet, a lot of things look so shiny, but that's very important.
Wow. Okay. Because there's so many out there. And, when you watch one video, you get a lot of recommendations. And to be honest, I think a lot of times I've seen stuff that they put out. I'm just like, oh my God, you're going to ruin someone's life. You're going to twist their mind around. And it's just so unhealthy. So, yeah, absolutely. So, what you said, knowing yourself, your patterns, what triggers you, find a help that you can actually trust, but take the time to actually find out if you can actually trust this person, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, take a few intro sessions. I think every normal coach or mentor, however you call that, they always do like an intro session or two, like get to know them, because you will see. If you don't, even if it's an intro session, after the session, you should feel better. After the session, you should feel, oh, there's actually one action step that I can do after this session. If you don't have that, then yeah.
I see. Okay. Now, when it comes to business, and this is kind of wrapping up everything, what would your advice be for someone who is a young entrepreneur like yourself, who's starting a business? They may not even have a business school, experience, which I don't think is absolutely necessary at all. You're like, no, it's not.
I don't have it.
Yeah. Like tell me and share it with yeah, what are the advice? What are the things that you think worked and will not work?
I always say I went from being a scientist to being an entrepreneur.
Mm.
I thought the toughest thing that I'm gonna do is build a website. I'm sorry I'm laughing about it, but just showing how I had no idea about business. I
Mhm.
going into the business, I thought launching the website is gonna be the most difficult thing. I learned very fast that that's not the case. But I think I said that already, but still, I'm gonna say it again because it's so important. You
Mhm.
need to have so much passion and
Mhm.
determination about whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
And then it doesn't matter if you have the education, if you've built 10 businesses or zero, because I haven't built, I mean, I wanted to, and I
Mhm.
tried. I even have, actually, fun fact, that was a business I almost started. It
Mhm.
was a face yoga course, online
Ooh.
course for face
Mhm.
yoga. I recorded all the sessions. I never launched it because I was too scared. That was
No
a year
way.
before, no, sorry, 2 years before Better Be Kind.
Mm.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say is the passion wasn't there, the decision wasn't there. So the education, it's not important because
Mhm.
with business, I think the most that you're going to learn is by building it.
Mm.
So, yeah, my advice decision, passion, determination, and
Mhm.
also find someone who's going to help you on this path. Find a
Mhm.
mentor, find someone who's built a business or still is building a businesses. It doesn't have to be a billionaire. It can be
Mhm.
just a person who's a few steps in front of you
Mhm.
that can guide you. And it's like, oh, I'm here, but look, it's you just do this, 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 and this, and you're gonna be there as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, building a business is tough, but it's the most fun I've ever had in my life. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have the time, follow Butterbeacon on Instagram. She's so fun. She's so
Oh,
cool. And actually, you are using the face yoga. I can
I
see
started
that.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have this self-care Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
It's a topic that we do every Sunday. We do like a ritual or a do-it-yourself recipe for feeling
Mm-hmm.
better and pampering.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have all this knowledge about face yoga. Why am I not sharing it with people? So now I will be
Yeah.
sharing more of that.
Oh my
And we've been
goodness.
getting great feedback for that. And the
Yeah.
exercises actually work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, I was learning about the
Nasolabial.
yeah, nasolabial fold,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, how you can do yoga to kind of not taken it away, obviously, but definitely improved, right?
Tone it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Taya, it's been absolutely amazing. I know I asked you a lot of questions that I didn't even plan on, but
I love them. It was such a great conversation.
I know. I loved it. I felt like I know you because always like you're just so positive. I'm just like, I gotta know. I gotta crack the code on what makes Taya this positive. And I'm like, she probably never get mad. She's never angry. And now I know.
I do feel anger.
while,
To be
while
honest,
laughing.
I
Uh,
yeah. No, I just I when I do feel anger,
mhm,
and if it's towards someone,
mhm,
absolutely never send it to the person.
mm,
That's that's what I'm trying to do. But let's see. I mean, if you asked me 3 years ago, I don't know, anger is such a fiery energy and it just like
mhm.
comes in a wave.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, I actually had like a boxing bag.
Ooh.
Yeah, that
Oh.
I used. I mean, it's like 2 minutes. You
Yeah.
just box it out and then you're like, oh, life is good. But yeah, no, there's so much. But I think the biggest part is that I actually practice all those things every single day. It didn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. I still need to be very conscious about, okay, what's happening in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that
Mm.
I'm like, I don't have any problems, I don't have any bad thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot,
Yeah.
but I practice a lot to be aware of what's happening and how I
Mm.
can react in a better way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about what you do with those thoughts, right? It's about how you react and not be reactive of all that emotions. Thank you, Taya.
Thank
And
you for this
I
conversation.
think this is definitely going to be a really fun listen for everyone. So thank you so
I hope
much.
so. Thank you for inviting me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The Soft Power Project is produced and hosted by Sherry Fang. For any inquiry, please email us at softpower.u@gmail.com.